let's get started. We'll make one good engine out of two bad ones. The first thing I need to do is replace the camshaft bushings. Right now I'm knocking out the old ones and installing the new ones. I also washed the sleeves and cleaned and prepared the camshaft. First, install the camshaft bushing. Okay, one bushing is in place. We can see that all the oil channels are aligned. So here's one, here's the second. The supply goes to lubricate the fuel pump. And here's the third. This one comes from the crankshaft. Alright, the first bushing is in place. Let's install the next one. Alright, so the camshaft bushings are in place. Now I'm checking the oil channels. Here they are. All the oil channels are aligned. Next I'll be installing the tappets. The tappets are new diesel technique. The only drawback is they're standard, not reinforced. So how long will they last? Standard, not reinforced tappets. The tappets are in place. Now I'm oiling the bushings and installing the camshaft. So I installed the camshaft right away and immediately attached the compressor drive gear so the shaft won't fall out in that direction anymore. It helps keep it in place. The shaft has this type of play and movement. So on this side there's a thrust ring on the flywheel housing where it rests against, but mainly when it's working the helical gear just presses it against that bushing, so it gets pressed there and that's it. There's no play at all. And if for some reason the engine moves back a bit, the shaft rests against the ring on the flywheel housing. That's it, the camshaft is in place. Everything is great. Next, I turn the engine over and install the sleeves. Next, I need to install the sleeves into the block. I've already washed, blown out and cleaned them, so everything is ready. Before installing, I need to measure how much the sleeve protrudes above the cylinder block. Right now, I'll install them without the rubber seals and measure how much the sleeve sticks out above the cylinder block. This value should be between 500ths and 900ths. So the kit includes thick rubber seals, thin rubber seals and standard adjustment rings that are 1500ths thick. So usually these rings are installed on sleeves with a flange height of 9.93. Now I'll measure all my sleeves to find out the height of this flange and whether I need these rings. So we see the flange height is 10.07. I measured all the sleeves and all of them are 10.07. The flange height is 10.07. Usually in such cases rings aren't needed, but I still have to measure, install all the sleeves and measure again. Because there are cases when, for example, the block is a repair one. This seating area is machined. It's machined for a thicker repair ring. I'll now install all the sleeves without rubber rings and measure their protrusion above the cylinder block. So I've installed the sleeve, took my tools, tightened it, and now I'm measuring the protrusion. We can see it's 0.6. 0.6. So this sleeve protrudes by 600ths. Now I'll move to the next one and measure all 6 sleeves like this. Alright, so I've already checked these 3 sleeves. Their protrusion is about 6 or 700ths above the block. Now I'm checking the third sleeve. Let's see, the block is our 0 point. The sleeve is at 700ths. Once again, the block is 0, but the sleeve is 700ths. Alright, let's check in the second plane. So the block is our 0 point. The sleeve is at 700ths. Now let's also check in the third plane. The block is 0, sleeve is 7, and the protrusion is 700ths. I've measured all sleeves. Each protrudes 6 to 700ths, which is within the norm. Now I want to use, for example, the fourth sleeve to clearly show what happens if you install a ring under the sleeve. So here is a standard ring, 1500ths, and now we'll measure the sleeve with the ring. Alright, let's take a look. You can already see visually that the sleeve is sticking out. You can easily feel the protrusion of the sleeve with your finger. And now let's measure how much it is. It's sticking out. We see the block. This is 0.23 hundredths. 0.20 300ths. That's almost a quarter of a millimeter. That's quite a lot, of course. So if we assemble it like this, the gasket won't. I mean, it will rest directly on the sleeve and there will be a gap over the block. There could be a coolant leak, and so on. We'll check it in 3 planes. Also 20. Also 2300ths. So the ring isn't needed here. I showed it this way for clarity as an example. What else do I want to say? If your block is sagged and the sleeve, for example, protrudes less than 500ths, then you won't find repair rings of that thickness. So you need to send the block for machining. You need to find a local specialist, give it to them, and they'll handle everything at the highest level. No other options. That's it. Now I'm taking out all the sleeves, putting the rubber rings in place, and then installing the sleeves back. I said it a little wrong. There are options. For example, if you have a sleeve that's sunk, let's say less than 500ths, and you don't have the ability to machine it or send it somewhere, then there is an option. You can change the sleeves, install sleeves with a flange of 9.93 and use rings not 0.15 but 0.20, and then you will have the upper limit, meaning it will stick out by 900ths. Let's say you measured the sleeve protrusion and it's 300ths. So you take a sleeve with a 9.93 flange, put in a 0.20 repair ring, and you increase it by 500ths. So you'll get the sleeve protrusion will be 800ths. So that's kind of an extreme option. You could say you'll have to buy a new sleeve first. That's important. Second, if your sleeve has sunk, it's usually from where it's uneven. One side wears down and the sleeve ends up crooked. It's better to let a specialist machine these mounting seats. I'm installing the sleeves. I've placed the rubber seals in the block. So one ring goes on the sleeve here. This is how it goes into this groove. According to the manual, this groove is filled with sealant and the sleeve is pressed in. But you can also install 2 rings. That is, the set comes with 6 rings. I have some from other sets. The rings are the same. So you can put on 2 rings. One in this groove and one in this groove. The only thing is, when you install the sleeve, it will sit on this rubber ring and stick out a little. When the head presses on the sleeve, it also presses on the rubber ring. There, I've done it this way many times before. I think works fine. You can put 2 rubber rings on these sleeves. The rubber rings are in. Now I apply assembly paste and install the sleeves into the block. Alright, so the sleeves went in like this, everything's good, the sleeves are in place. Next, I need to install the heat exchanger. The heat exchanger has also been washed and cleaned. I removed the radiator, cleaned it, blew it out, washed it with solvent and put it back. In the comments I was asked several times what kind of valve is on the heat exchanger. Well, really, if you look here you can see that there's some kind of spring and there's a valve made of textolite or caprolon. Let me explain its function and what it's for. Is it true that this valve could be the reason for the lack of pressure? No, that's not why there's low pressure, and I'll explain. This valve isn't a pressure reducing valve, it's only a bypass valve. It passed through the heat exchanger and ended up in this chamber. It came out here, so there's one chamber and then an inner chamber. And here we have a sealing gasket, so here we have unfiltered oil, and here we already have filtered oil. So if the filter is clogged for some reason and oil can't pass through it, this valve simply opens. This is a bypass valve and it lets oil flow from this chamber to this chamber. That's its entire function. It's there to make sure the oil flow doesn't stop and the engine doesn't fail. There's this valve here. It opens up and the oil goes directly unfiltered straight into the system. So now we'll take it out, see how it's made, and at the same time we'll wipe it down and clean it. Alright, so this is what it looks like, just a plug. A spring goes into it, and here's a valve like this made of caprolon or textolite. So right here it sits on the seat with this part. That's the valve. I cleaned it and put it back. Everything's fine. So I've applied the sealant. I use this kind of sealant, Corteco, black. It's good, I like it. So I applied the sealant, put on the gasket and applied sealant on the other side as well. That's it, I'm installing it. Alright, that's it. I tightened the bolts of the heat exchanger and the mounts. Check these 4 bolts with a 13. They hold the heat exchanger radiator. I also tightened bypass valve. We checked with a 24. That's it. The heat exchanger is fully installed and in place. So next I'll lay the engine on its side and then we'll install the crankshaft. Before installing the crankshaft, I need to install a new thrust ring under the oil seal. I removed the old one, set the new one on the tile, and will install it while it's hot. Alright, the ring is in place. I had to tap it in a bit using a drift, but overall it fit well. Alright, next before installing I'll measure the crankshaft on camera. I've already measured it and I know its size, but I'll show it on camera now. So I'll measure it on camera now. A few main journals, a few rod journals. The standard is 104 millimeters, but here it's 103.99, so it's 0.01 millimeter less. Previously we had the second main journal, now it's the third, and the size remains 103.99. Alright, this is the fourth main journal, and we see the size is also 103.99. I measured all the main journals and they're all at 103.99, so it's the perfect size. Alright, now let's measure a few connecting rod journals. I also checked the micrometer against the standard, made sure it was zeroed, and now I'm measuring the journals. Alright, let's look at the first connecting rod journal. The standard is 90 millimeters, here we have 89, 90, well, let's say 98. According to the manual, it's supposed to be, even after grinding -200, tolerance is allowed. Let's check the second connecting rod journal. We also see 89. Well, here it's not even 98, but 98.5. 89, 98. Well, I measured the whole crankshaft too. All the journals are in this size as well, so the crankshaft is in perfect condition. You can see the crankshaft is in perfect condition, and after all my experience, it still amazes me. The crankshaft from 1994 was still running on its original bearings, and I measured it, and it doesn't even have 1/100th of a millimeter of wear. And even that is acceptable when grinding it down by 200ths. There are technologies and the capability to make such engines and crankshafts, yet they're not always used everywhere. For example, compared to a domestic crankshaft, after just 200 or 300,000 kilometers, you sometimes can't even grind it down for repairs. But here, after 2 or 3 million, the shaft is like new. As long as I've been working, I never stopped being amazed by this. Let's continue. The covers are also cleaned. Now I'm installing standard MIBA bearings and putting the crankshaft into the block. So I still get comments under almost every video about installing the crankshaft saying, well, you installed it but didn't clean the plugs. So I'm showing you that this crankshaft doesn't have any plugs, so it's just casting here with both sides of the journal closed. There's a through drilling in the main journal, and in the rod journal there's an angle drilling right into this channel. That's it. There's one through channel and another one. But this crankshaft has no sediment traps for collecting dirt. now.